Hi, welcome to Blasters and Boomsticks with your hosts Dan and Grant. Today we're reviewing Willy's Wonderland. It's a 2021 American action comedy directed by Kevin Lewis, starring Nic Cage as a drifter who was tricked into cleaning up an abandoned family entertainment centre haunted by 8 murderous animatronic characters. So, Grant, Willy's Wonderland, what's your thoughts?
Willy's Wonderland or Ghost Rider versus Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah.
Absolutely mental film. It has no right to be as enjoyable as it was. I think to me, one of its pros and cons is Cage. I think Cage kind of gives a silent movie kind of performance.
Yep.
He goes zany but very underplayed, very, very good with his facial expressions in a very limited role, I have to say, which I think also could be used against the film, because I think when anybody sees Cage now, they kind of, we want to see this. And this is just a premise for him to be able to go like full vampire's kiss, full kind of crazy, and it's such a situation. So it's kind of nice that he actually does play that restraint kind of role.
Yes.
That it does kind of subvert what you expect to see from a kind of Cage performance, although I do not like to get on the bandwagon that Cage suddenly is this just crazy person all the time. I think some of his recent films have been very good, and he's given very, very good performances. Mandy, Colour Out of Space. I think it's kind of a nice reinvention of a kind of Cage slipping into genre film. I think it's absolutely brilliant. But I don't know what you think about that, but I do think that there's part of me that would have liked to have seen Cage say something, because he doesn't say a thing, does he, in the film, apart from a few grunts?
Yeah, he's full on grunt mode, and I think I was quite impressed by that. I was, again, quite like everyone else probably, was expecting a full on Cage rage sequence. I really was expecting, not the bees, or something along those lines, and didn't get that, but just got this really sort of intense performance. Is he got PTSD? He's got some form of OCD for definite.
We're not given anything, are we?
No,
we know
no.
nothing about this guy. He just turns up and he doesn't speak.
Yeah, dog tags. That's all we get. Yeah. Dog tags in a crate and a boot full of some kind of pop, some kind of soda, fizzy. Yeah. That he has to have regular breaks to down these, and and it's so these nice little character traits, but again, like you say, it's just there's nothing else given, and it could harm the film. I didn't feel it did myself. I was just swept along for the ride. I think the exposition you get about the restaurant being run by killers and criminals and everything who commit suicide.
So ludicrous, it actually works.
Yes, it fits in that Cage just goes in there to do a job, and when these animatronics start coming to life, he just starts dispatching them and then goes back to his work. And I really love the humour in that. There was such a it's not sort of just decapitating things. He's smashing these creatures' heads into walls and stomping on it. He puts one
curb stomps a gorilla's head on a toilet urinal.
He does, yeah, he does, yeah. And it's like the only other time I'd seen that in a film, to my knowledge, is American History X.
Oh God, yeah.
Which in American History X, I was like, Jesus Christ, have they really done that? In this film, I was egging him on.
Yeah,
like kill that fucking gorilla.
Yeah. So what I liked about it is I think the film didn't oversee its welcome. It's like about an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half, and it's kind of nice, because that's kind of I always say Lord of the Rings kind of, everybody wanted to emulate it, so every film now kind of artificially extends its running time because it's scared of being an hour and a half. And I thought it was just right. I really did. I thought, like you said, it takes you along for the ride. It gets straight into it. It gives you a nice bit of exposition. And I suppose done as well as it can do, because the exposition's explained to somebody who is not in the know.
Yes.
Cage is the one who gets the exposition about things, and usually in a lot of horror films we see these awful exposition scenes where people are having conversations like they don't know each other, just to give the clue in the audience.
Yeah.
So I think that's very good. I think the only serious problems with the film for me was I thought some of the teen characters were just so throwaway. They were there for the body count, and at first I thought we were going to get some kind of, because the lead, is it Liv, the lead female, she was actually quite good by the end. I was quite invested in her, and the sheriff as a supporting character is a nice character, but some of the teens, the two of them that go and have sex in the suicide room, the happy fun room or something, and I just kind of go, oh. And I think, because the director's really not done much work, and the writer's really not done much, and I think, could you imagine this being handled by an Edgar Wright or a Taika Waititi? It'd be so tight everywhere, wouldn't it? And I think if we just had those characters, maybe half them, 3 teenagers try to save. I think they just obviously tried to put it in for some gore, but none of the gore was really original. When Cage is fighting the animatronics, like you said, it's perfect, but I think the human deaths are not really that memorable or gory.
I wonder whether that is intentional, to focus on the absurdity of the animatronic characters, because maybe that to me, I think I was less, when I thought about it, when I saw the trailer and heard that the project was coming along and everything, I was more interested in seeing Nic Cage beat the fuck out of some animatronic characters than the human death side of things. That was the sell for me, was Nic Cage gets to do his Cage stuff. It was so seeing the more horrific deaths saved for the animatronics was a big part of the fun.
I think that works well. I just think it what detracts, maybe, like I've seen, in the hands of a better director, is I think if you're keeping so many characters for deaths because as an horror film people think you need to kill people or people want to see that, then it kind of goes against it, because we are here for Cage, and Cage is the one who gets them absolutely incredible. It'd be nice to see. I thought it would be, maybe the film would have worked a little bit better if the guys had all got in and couldn't quite get to Cage. They were being picked off, and Cage is there unaware that they're there, and he's going around killing them and saving people inadvertently. That might have been a little bit better. But
I think it does work how it is for me. I mean, that is it's a great point, and maybe it would have worked better. I do kind of like, though, that they dropped in, and when the kids approach the restaurant for the first time, and they're banging on the window saying, "Mister, you've got to get out here to rescue," and he just looks at them and walks off because he's got a job to do. Every kill he does, he goes back to doing what he did before. He carries on cleaning. He's completely unfazed by the situation. He changes. He puts a clean t-shirt on. The only thing that I found where he has that element of what I class as stereotypical Cage, what people expect from him, is when he fixes the pinball machine. And he has this sort of almost orgasmic, euphoric game where he's always banging into this machine, but then he starts dancing as well. And
how great is the kind of 80s version of Willy's Wonderland? That's brilliant.
It is, it's done so lovingly. And it's I mean, my other half loved it. I wasn't expecting her to enjoy it either, but she really did, to the point where I think she'd quite happily watch it again this week.
I think that's the thing to me going for it. Like I said, I think the film could have been tight, and I think its premise is that ridiculous. I think it probably needed to be in somebody's hands that probably, treats every little bit of dialogue and every bit of screen time and angle with such precision. I think it would have probably tightened the film up for me. But I think it's one of these films that I think it will be brought out. People will be watching it probably Halloween, kind of with a great movie to put on with your mates. And I think it's a nice little classic. It's something totally different. And I think it's a totally different kind of Nic Cage that we've got. And I think overall, maybe I would have liked it to be tightened up in a few places, and some of the characters are forgettable. But I think if you just want just a great kind of action comedy horror that's slightly different to most of the stuff that we see that's almost too comedic, I think this is great. I don't think many people will be disappointed with this.
No. So
you know what you're getting on the tin, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So just before we sign off, mate, we're giving this a thumbs up.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. It's absolutely worth a watch.
Yeah, me too, mate. Highly recommend it. And so go out, watch it. Let the masses go out and enjoy some Cage Rage. And we'll be back with another episode soon.